Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. My name is Paula Jane and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History, and her most recent books, there's two of them, both Kindle editions, An Interview with an Alien, Comments by an Undercover ET, and Cosmic Spirituality, Blending Religion and Science in Oneness from an Off-Planet Perspective. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Paula. Hi, everyone.
So Judy has another message from Mars today, but before we dive into that, there are a few questions that are still lingering from the message that Mars had for us last time. So first of all, the DNA. So the big picture reflects that everything is playing out by divine design, and this is good to know, but I do have a question that I'd like you to expand on, and that's all about the interference of our DNA now and in the past. So first of all, can you tell us about the interference in the past, and then can you tell us what Mars means by us having our DNA interfered with now and how it is playing out on the planet? It's all by divine design, so you may not even want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yes, Paula, I'll go into all this in a moment. First, I just want to cover what Mars drew my attention to.
Okay.
Often, when he wants to draw my attention to something or get information across, he'll lead me to a book. He uses this method as he knows I'm a keen reader. The book I've been led to is Courtney Brown's Cosmic Voyage, which describes a series of remote viewing exercises he carried out around 1994. Courtney is a highly trained remote viewer working with a monitor who's like an assistant or guide who helps out, and under very controlled military design protocols.
Right.
In most of the sessions, the subject covered is unknown to Courtney and even unknown to the monitor, as they use code names for each subject covered, so neither of them can pick up anything telepathically from the other. Courtney has been able to pick up on a massive amount of very interesting and accurate information on the Greys. But in one particular session, Jesus was the target, which shocked both himself and the monitor deeply when they went back after the session to find out what or who they'd been targeting. This particular session was conducted on June the 2nd, 1994, and is described on pages 122 and 123 of the Cosmic Voyage book. But it's extremely relevant now, given the world's situation. I only read this part of the book after I'd started on Mars's message and was asking for more clarification. First, to quote Courtney Brown when he finds himself remotely viewing a public health facility. Now remember, this is right back in 1994. There is an urgent health problem, a planetary concern. There seems to be a connection in the minds of these people with centres for disease control. There are multiple health problems many places on the planet. There is a combination of starvation and sickness. There are new diseases, new forms of bacteria, new viruses, even radiation mutations. The folks at the public health building are trying to figure out ways to control the situation as it is simultaneously spinning out of control. The monitor then tells Courtney to cue on the concept of guidance or help. So Courtney then says, there is a need for humans to go to basics in living. I am getting the clear perception that a quick technological fix is not possible. He then becomes aware of a being of light who he recognises, with shock as he didn't know who or what the session was aimed at, as Jesus. The being tells him that the situation has been set up so that no physical solution can remedy the problem. The idea is to force humans out of their physical entrapment and thereby save the race or humanity. Reading this, I realise that this scenario is exactly what's happening now, nearly 30 years later. As well as this, I clearly recall Mars telling me virtually exactly the same thing about the non-physicality of ET contact and the reason why genuine ETs will not appear down here in 3D form to provide physical proof. As Mars explained, the catalyst for evolution is the need to adapt to changing conditions. For example, to walk upright on 2 legs instead of 4, to develop lungs for breathing instead of gills. The planetary shift we're going through right now requires us to move from 3D up to 5D conscious awareness. By not pandering to our demands for physical proof, the ETs are encouraging us to shift our conscious awareness up to the higher energy frequency. This is the bottom line. So, to overcome present happenings, the same applies. As Jesus described, the situation has been set up so that no physical solution can remedy the situation. The idea is to force humans out of their physical entrapment.
That's interesting. So can you tell us a little bit more about Courtney Brown?
Yes, Dr Courtney Brown was an Associate Professor of Political Science at Emory University, specialising in non-linear mathematical modelling of social phenomena, environmental politics and elections.
Yeah.
The remote viewing protocols were originally designed by the military for espionage purposes, so the data obtained through remote viewing accurately present reality and are monitored regularly to ensure no pure imagination or ego comes into play, making it very reliable for research.
We'll have to unpack that next week a little bit more.
I reckon.
So Jesus, the being who he managed to contact, tells him that the situation has been set up so that no physical solution can remedy the problem. The idea is to force humans out of their physical entrapment and thereby save the race, us, humanity. So the situation was set up by the Illuminati, the Cabal. You call them the Reptarians, is that correct?
Yes. The planetary controllers is another popular name given to them. As I explain in my Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth book, these ones hijacked the planet many millennia ago and posed as gods. In some cases, the god figure of the Old Testament was actually reptarian controllers using their higher technology to control the young mammalian human species being developed at that time on Earth. Thus we have all the orders given by this god figure to create war amongst the various tribes. This was their divide and conquer agenda in action that they still use today to keep humanity divided and in a state of fear, unrest and war.
Mm-hmm. So the situation with what's playing out on Earth now has been set up so that no physical solution can remedy the problem. And like Mara said, we are constantly evolving. So are they trying to hold back the evolution process?
Yes, the controllers don't want to lose their control of humanity. And our key to escaping them is seeing through them and their divide and conquer agenda. In the current situation, they're operating through two sides. This is their ultimate weapon and form of trickery aimed at divisiveness, so that we have one side pushing anger and fear of death in one way through what's playing out here on Earth, and the other side pushing anger and fear of death through the proposed solution. Both sides are encouraging both fear and anger, which cause an imbalance in the energy field.
So why? That's the question, isn't it? Were we initially created to be the slaves to the creator beings that created us? That's been tossed around quite a bit lately, and I wanted to get your comments on that.
Yeah, the reptarian controllers were the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That story is really an analogy for the interference they carried out back then when other creator beings were here on Earth working to bioengineer a mammalian human species. The reptarians were and are a much older Earth human species and didn't want this newer and more improved model replacing them as the dominant human species on the planet. This is why they interfered and messed with the DNA work being carried out. This had the effect of trapping the newly developed humans with one foot in the animal kingdom and one foot in the human kingdom. This is why they're referred to by some as mixtures. They were basically stuck halfway, and many have never really been able to escape this situation.
So can you unpack this a little bit? The idea is to force humans out of their physical entrapment and thereby save the race, humanity. What does he mean by that?
Okay, everything ultimately comes from a higher design. So even though on the lower level this present world situation is being exploited by the negative forces to try to control us, there are no accidents in the greater reality. Everything has a reason. And the reason behind this, in this case, there is no physical solution. So people have to learn to access a higher means. In other words, shift their mindset past the animal herd instinct to fright and flight, fear and stampeding over the edge of a cliff in a bid to escape. The only real protection is to dig deep down inside to find your own empowerment within. As a final comment and reminder, this whole situation began with a massive planetary conjunction, which was acknowledged here in Australia at Uluru at the beginning of last year. In other words, it was written in the stars. Please try to hold on to this deeper understanding. It's a massive energy shift for the planet and for humanity. To repeat, the situation has been set up so that no physical solution can remedy the problem. The idea is to push humans out of their physical 3D entrapment. In other words, it's an inducement to humanity to open up and expand to deeper 5D conscious awareness. The more you can open up in this way, the higher your energy frequency goes, and the higher your energy frequency goes, the more protected you are. It's also a lesson in not being too rigid in our beliefs. This is how practices such as Tai Chi and yoga assist us on the spiritual level. They teach us flexibility of body and mind. Holding on to rigid beliefs causes anger and fear, so it's not a good mindset to be in. It equals being stuck.
Yes, so open up and expand to deeper 5D conscious awareness. The more you can open up in this way, the higher your energy frequency goes, and the higher your energy frequency goes, the more protected you are. Makes sense. That certainly gives us all something to take on board and think about. Just to remind everybody, Judy's books are available from Amazon, or you can go directly through Judy's website, which is included in the link below. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your family and friends and subscribe to this channel. And until next time, sending you all so much love. Thank you all for listening, and bye for now.